Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another session of iPros TV. And today we have a special guest, Emmanuel Villasenor, our Director of Sales for life insurance. And I know throughout my career, I've always asked, how do I get started in life insurance sales? It's a unique product. There's a lot of variations of products out there in the market. So today's session is about how do we get started? So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Emmanuel Villasenor to get started in this special session.
Thank you so much, Juan. We are excited here to be part of iPros TV this week. We are doing a Life Insurance 101, and we have a guest, and I'll talk about our guest in a second. But one of the goals of these sessions is to introduce you to the benefit of doing life insurance. We understand a lot of you guys watching today might be already doing life insurance, or maybe you never have touched life insurance. One of the things that I have is we all kind of had a path. And my path, 18 years ago when I started doing insurance, the company that hired me, they were a life insurance company, and that's what I learned what to do. But some of you, your path might have been Medicare this whole time, and it almost feels strange to do something else. But one of the things that you get the advantage by doing life insurance is that you won't have a kink in your armor. You won't have something that your client still needs that later on finds an agent that takes care of that need, and that then that agent also goes after your Medicare, goes after everything else that you have worked so hard to get. So here at iPros, one of the goals is to give you the opportunity to work with the right carriers, so that way it can be a smooth transition to talk about life insurance. And what we have here, we have a special guest today. And this special guest, one of the goals that we have, yes, I have the experience of working in the life insurance industry for a long time, but it's never going to be the same as listening to a wholesaler, listening to somebody that they breathe, they eat, and they constantly understand what their product is and how their product works. And what that does for us here at iPros is that it allows us to ask the questions. So if anybody has some questions, we got to have the chat open for questions regarding the product. But also, you get to hear it, like I like to say, from the horse's mouth. You get to hear it of what's going on and what is their goals and how that could make their product better. And there's some companies out there that have been you could almost say that they had the same product for years and years and years, and there's no innovation. And the reason that our guest is here is because they are not that company. They are the company that is innovative. They're the company that is doing things that make sense, to what's happening right now in the technology that is available. So I would like to introduce Mr. J.R. Zufelt. J.R. Zufelt, and if you want to unmute yourself, J.R., they can already see you. So tell us who you are.
Hi, folks. J.R. Zufelt. That's a tricky one. Zufelt. And I am with Quility. I have been wholesaling life insurance for the past 5 years or so. And this product that we're going to be talking about today, thank you for having me on, Juan and Emmanuel, by the way, is a very unique one. And it is a modern life insurance product that's going to make it very, very easy for agents to add life insurance to their repertoire. And like you said, get that stickiness, get that additional line of coverage that most folks need, right? And to be able to do it in a very easy, efficient manner that is fun, that is competitive, and that from the agent standpoint is nice because commissions pay very, very quickly. So we'll talk more about it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So thank you guys for having me here.
Excellent. So, tell us a little bit about you. We got some emails about your bio, and some of us got to see a little bit, but I find it very interesting that you're a lot of your roots are in Alaska.
Yes, yeah. So I was born north of Sacramento, California. But my family moved to Alaska when I was only 5, going on 6 years old. So I grew up in Alaska and lived there for 30 years before eventually making my way down to Boise, Idaho, where I now live. My mother, my grandmother are here. They were just kind of on their own down here for a number of years. And as they were getting a little older, it became, apparent that we needed a little bit of assistance for my grandmother in particular. And so I came down, and not that I have all the answers, but it was nice to be able to come down here and live next to them. I've been here for about 6.5, going on 7 years, and helpful where I can be. And enjoying a full 4 seasons here in Boise, Idaho. We get the hot summers, we get the cooler winters, but it's pretty easy living compared to Alaska, where I grew up. And I really love the snow, so I go back there from time to time. I was back there in March to do a little snowboarding with some friends. And yeah, that's one of my favorite pastimes is you have to take advantage of it if you live in it, right? If you live in it where it's snowy for 4, 5, 6 months, 4 to 5 months out of the year, you have to figure out a way to enjoy it. And snowboarding was my thing. So snowboarding, soccer, music, family, friends. That's what keeps my cup full when I'm not otherwise working and helping agents find ways to get solutions in place for their clients.
Well, thank you for being here and telling us a little bit about you. I always find, that a lot of times, and it happens also when you go do a sales presentation, it's good to talk about the product, it's good to talk about the carrier, but it's also good to talk about the human who's representing that, and that's pretty neat. I mean, you just said a couple of things, and it already tells me, that you're a person that cares, and that's important. That's important. So tell us about we here at iPros, we're learning life insurance, and it sounds funny because some people have done life insurance forever, but it is constant learning. You never stop learning about something as huge as life insurance. Now, we do have the opportunity at iPros to work with multiple carriers, okay? But you're representing one carrier today, and it gets me a little confused sometimes because Quility and SBLI. Can you tell us a little bit about who Quility is or who SBLI is, and kind of know the difference?
Yes, definitely. So Quility is a broker general agency who's been in the life insurance game for a number of years under one name or another. So Quility actually came about just a few years ago, right at the start of the pandemic, actually, or before that happened in 2020. There were plans to merge 2 different companies, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, to create Quility. But both of those companies have been going for, Assura was California based, and they had been going for a couple of decades, something like 25 years or more. And then Symmetry over on the East Coast side was a sister company that got started with the help of some folks over at Assura. And the two merged their powers and became Quility. And after getting Quility together, one of the things that they really wanted to do was say, hey, we've been doing this for a long time with our agents, selling life insurance, trying to find those solutions for families, for businesses, for everybody who needs life insurance protection. We would like to be able to find a way to do it easier, right? And so Quility is a broker general agency who's worked with a lot of different carriers over the years, reselling their products. But we wanted to come up with our own. And we wanted to do that with geared, with mindset of ease, of convenience, of being modern. We in this day and age, we're also used to being able to click a couple buttons and get whatever we need shipped to our homes, right? We can click a couple buttons and on our phone and have Taco Bell delivered to our house, or a steak, or whatever you want, right, through Uber Eats. Or you think about all the different conveniences that are around and available through the advents of technology. It was obvious to us that there was a way for us to try to bring some of that to the life insurance world, but to do it in a competitive way. There are some products out there, you guys have probably sold them, that you can get a quick policy issued fairly quickly, but it'll have some caveats, and it'll also typically be pretty expensive because a lot of the carriers that develop those simplified issue, quick issue products, they said, okay, well, we're going to do so within confines, small face amounts, particular age ranges, and also we're going to build, 2 rate classes, a standard non-tobacco and a standard tobacco class, but those rate classes will oftentimes be built around a table 4 or a table 6 rating and not super competitive. And so not everybody can afford them, even though, they say, oh yeah, I want quick, I want easy, I want no exam, right? I want no medical records. I want no having to give a blood or urine sample, those types of things. So Quility started working with insurance company, actually the reinsurance companies. We went to the reinsurance companies and we said, hey, we want to make these types of products. We feel like we can do it. Can you help us? And they said, sure, let's go ahead and do so. So they put us in touch with a technology company called Efficiency, who builds e-applications and underwriting engines behind products. And we then built a product, we called it Quility Level Term, and we took it out to the carrier market. And we talked to a lot of different carriers, a lot of big name carriers as well, very well-known carriers, all A-rated, and said, hey, who can put this on their paper? Who can back up what we're trying to do, right, with this type of product? Instant issue, no exam ever, no waiting on APS or attending physician statements, which is the medical records that oftentimes are ordered during underwriting and take sometimes weeks or sometimes even months.
Which I like to call it the kiss of death. When you get a request for an APS, it's just, it's got to be stuck for a long, long time. And I'm glad you guys don't.
Yeah, it can be. So we wanted to take away some of those pain points, but we also wanted to make it competitively priced, right? We wanted everything to be able to be digital. We wanted things to be able to be done via text message, which is a modern and convenient way of communicating that everybody does on a daily basis, right? Like how many text messages do you receive and send daily? So we wanted to be able to do these things, and
Gentlemen,
we partnered with SBLI, and they said we can do that.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you elaborate on APS? I believe you said a lot of the folks on are new to life insurance, and you mentioned the kiss of death. Can you elaborate on that? We don't know acronyms. So
yes, I'll try to stay away from the acronyms. Juan, APS is attendant physician statement, and what happened and the advantage that Quility is offering compared to other carriers, is that sometimes when carriers don't have enough information, they just kind of hit a key on their underwriting that says, you know what, we're not gonna make a decision on this client until we collect attending physician statement, until we collect what easy name is will be medical records, And for some people, medical records can be 2 pages when you go and get your checkups. For some people, it could be 200 pages, So a lot of times, as an insurance agent, as a life insurance agent, I like to call it the kiss of death, because the doctor's office has 30 days to respond to the request, and then they have this back and forth of, well, we need this extra signature, and it takes a little longer. So the insurance companies that are still using that as a way to measure a client, obviously they're doing it to protect themselves, but the advantage that Quility offers us is that will never happen under the Quility system. Either they'll tell us a yes or a no, but they won't put us into this limbo of waiting for doctor's records. That'll be the easy name to call it.
And I should tell folks a little bit about the product really quickly so they kind of understand what we're talking about. Quility Level Term, again, if I answered your question earlier, Emmanuel, Quility is the company who said, hey, we can make life insurance easier, right? And we've worked in the industry for a very long time as a company and saw ways to create some efficiencies. And then we ended up partnering with SBLI, also known as Savings Bank Life Insurance of Massachusetts. They're a nationwide A-rated mutual carrier. They had focused on non-med term and whole life coverage for their shelf products for a long time. So they ended up being a really good fit for Quility Level Term, because what we can do is we can take somebody who's aged 18 to 60, and we can offer them, depending on their age and their rate class, potentially up to $1 million of term life coverage, 10, 15, 20, or 30 years, literally in 10 to 15 minutes time. From the time you do the quote, through the application questions, getting the client's beneficiary information, payment information, and then having the policy issued and in force. 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes if it's a little bit longer conversation. There's a few questions, additional questions on the e-application that pop up, because it is a reflexive application where if you answer yes to something, it might ask an additional question. If you answer no, you get to skip those additional questions, right? So it's leveraging technology again. But that's what you're looking at. Up to $1 million, 10, 15, 20, or potentially 30 years in 10 or 15 minutes, right? Agent gets paid the next day.
Beautiful.
It's amazing. It's really, really nice.
And the way I see it, and for us that, at iPros that we're learning about insurance is when you're looking for an insurance company, you're looking for that rating, a good reputable company, But the second thing you're looking for is that customer satisfaction, the customer getting what they want. And usually whenever you are expressing the need or you are presenting life insurance, they want to know the result. They want to know if they're through, if they have it, they want to know their price, And what Quility is doing alongside kind of using SBLI as a partner into it is almost what we used to, go and pick up the movies at the Blockbuster, and eventually now they're on our computers and on our smart TVs. And you think, how do we do it before? Almost like how was that done before? You almost get some amnesia of how the painful times, like I used to remember phone numbers and carry an address book, I used to do math, and now I have the calculator next to me. So Quility is doing that to insurance, and that's why you're here, because there's many carriers out there that have promised fast underwriting, or that have promised us no exams. But what you guys are doing is really following through with that promise, which is an instant or immediate decisions, and no exams, and then also the ease of doing business. Because we on the iPro side, we're used to sending a text message to get the scope of appointment, for example, for our Medicare recipients, for us to be able to continue our conversation. So we are used to that text technology on the Medicare side, and it's almost funny how it's not happening as much in the life insurance side. So I see that you have some slides in there. I mean, to let us a little bit.
Yeah, I just want to let people kind of take a look at it and have a little something to read here. But this kind of talks about or illustrates how the rates with this product can be so much more competitive compared to some of the other carrier options that are out there for a simplified issue process, meaning no exam, right? And quick to issue. And quick to issue could mean, maybe at point of sale, there will be an approval. And then within the next day or two, there will be a policy issued, or maybe it's 2 days or 5 days or a week, right? Where our product literally is, like you said, it's a yes or no answer. Underwriting's done in less than 90 seconds. And it leverages technology to check out the databases for motor vehicle report, prescription history, the MIB. MIB is one of the acronyms. It stands for Medical Information Bureau Report. The MIB is something that all of us have on us, it's kind of like your life and health insurance credit score. Is what I tell people, right? So if you have applied for life insurance previously and were declined, your MIB will note that. If you were declined for life insurance, or if your client was declined for life insurance in the past, the product that we're talking about today isn't going to be the best fit for them, because it will check the MIB. And if there was a recent decline in the last few years on life insurance, then they will automatically be declined for Quility level term. Just a little note. But the MIB, Medical Information Bureau Report, is one of the things that are checked as far as the background. Again, it's one of those reports of a handful of reports that are checked in about 90 seconds. MVR is Motor Vehicle Report. So just like, if you think about risk, life insurance, you're insuring risk. And so if a client has a lead foot and has had, 3 or 4 speeding tickets in the last year, they're probably not going to be a good risk for a life insurance carrier. And we'll hope that they drive safely and, don't have an accident. But a carrier is going to say, oh, no, we might skip out on that person, right? So the MIB, though, if you've had multiple health claims on your health insurance, it'll be noted on your MIB, right? So those types of things there. Milliman and LexisNexis information will help a client or help a carrier review the prescription history prescription medication history for that client, and make an assessment based on that. If there's any heavier medications or things that leave some question marks open.
And that's one of the questions here, JR, on our chat. Somebody is asking about insulin diabetes or type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes. Can you tell us a little bit how Quility handles that?
Sure. Yeah. So type 2 diabetes is okay as long as it's well controlled without insulin. So if someone is using insulin, this product is not a good fit for them. If someone has type 2 diabetes and uses oral medication or diet to control their A1C, their blood sugar, right, then this could be a good fit for them. So type 2 diabetes, as long as the insured is age 40 or older and has an A1C of 7.0 or less.
Okay.
So if their A1C is 7.1, not a great fit.
How do they verify that they're not on insulin?
So that prescription history that I was talking about, that report is run very quickly, and they can see whether there's ever been any insulin prescribed for that person. In addition to that, back in September of last year, we added, or SBLI added, Exam 1 information to the underwriting as well. Exam 1 is a very commonly used exam company for doctors' offices as well as for insurance companies. So if a client has had labs done with their doctor, that information can also be a part of the underwriting with this product. It's not required, obviously. There will never be any labs or any exam run for Quility Level Term because it is an instant issue, instant decision product. But we can look now at that product or at that information as well. One of the main reasons for adding that information was that this product does have a tobacco class as well as 4 non-tobacco classes. And we found that unfortunately we had a lot of people answering no to tobacco use when they should have been answering yes. And so the lab information that was brought into the underwriting process last September allows us to get more information on tobacco class and properly issue policies at the right rating.
Perfect. On the last slide, you mentioned that basically what you guys start doing is this immediate decisions, And when you're comparing to the other carriers, I see that the other carriers are going for $250,000 and you guys going for $600,000. Is it that much different or that better your rate than the competition?
Yes, it can be. So that SBLI price that you're seeing there, that is best class. We have Elite, Preferred, Select, and Standard non-tobacco, and then we've got a tobacco class or a nicotine class. So that rate there is if your client gets that elite class, you could buy for approximately the same amount of premium, $600,000 with SBLI versus one of our competitors there where that same price would get you only $250,000, right? Or you might have to pay more for $250,000 with a couple of other carriers. And again, that's because their products typically are built without as many risk classes to accommodate different heights and weight, different medical backgrounds, different family history, different things like that. So in family history, for those agents who are listening who have never done life insurance before, family history is one of those things that most carriers will ask about on the application. And it'll be something along the lines of, have you ever had a parent diagnosed with or pass away from cancer or heart disease before the age of 60, right? That's an example of a question that is asked on these types of life insurance applications. And I had a client who purchased one of these policies from me a few months back. She was a good height and weight. She was great for her own personal health. She was a young woman, 34, but she did have a mother who was diagnosed with breast cancer in her mid-50s. That took her from the elite class down to the preferred class. It was only a couple dollars a month difference from elite to preferred. Client was fine, happy with the approval, took the policy, has the coverage, right? $500,000, 20-year term is what she purchased. And we were done with the call, with the application in about 17 or 18 minutes.
That's beautiful. One of the things that I found, from the experience of actually using already the product is that a lot of times we quote the client on a standard pricing or a select pricing, which is the one a little bit above it. And then once the underwriting decision gets made, they get a preferred or an elite rating. I will say, 60, 70% of the time, they get a better than what we thought classification. And that is always a good thing because it puts us in the position to right there, without having to go back to the house or having to change too many things, ask our client, hey, you got a better classification. Would you like to be covered for more right away? Which it sounds very logical, but many other carriers don't do that. Many other carriers, you almost struggle to try to get in more coverage after you already submitted applications or done this. With Quility, that's really refreshing that if they get a better classification, but you already kind of budgeted $100 or budget $70, you can move the face amount right there to give the client more for their money. Hello? I don't know if we lost JR a little bit.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, I'm so sorry. So I think that's one of the advantages. So one of the things that we like to know is the process. Do you have anything on the process, JR, of how it looks like? I know how it looks like, but I want you to maybe tell us. If not, I'll kind of show it from our side. The link, which I think is beautiful. Not having to remember all these passwords and everything else that usually, especially for us brokers, it gets us,
I think JR is having some connectivity issues, Emmanuel. He's stuck.
Oh, he's there. Is he there?
He's kind of going in and out.
Okay. Well, let me show you guys that while he gets back in there, which is the ability to so most of the time, whenever we're trying to quote somebody, whenever we're trying to sell somebody, we have to go to their dashboard. We have to go to their you have to put in your code. You have to go through all these process. Well, the beautiful thing about Quility, are you back there, JR?
I'm back. Sorry about that interruption.
No problem. What I'm saying is I'm talking about how the link to you guys quoter / application / policy, everything is right there in one link instead of having to log in to a dashboard. And it is not even password protected. It's just with your MPN, you have that access. There you go. Yeah. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so this is fantastic. So when an agent is appointed for sale with SBLI, with the carrier, for sale of Quility level term, they will receive a link just like this one. This is mine. As you were saying, it has my national producer number in the upper right-hand corner here. And it starts out, it shows you the application journey across the top, shows your name, and it shows an application ID in the upper right-hand corner. This is a good thing to keep note of, by the way. Once you're approved for a sale of this product and you get your own link, you will want to make sure that as you move forward with an application, you make note of the application ID, whether you do a screenshot, you write it down, do a copy and paste, whatever it is that you like to do. Just make sure to make note of this because it can be helpful in troubleshooting or resuming an application. Because if you get through to the offer screen and let's say your client goes, oh, shoot, I don't have my checkbook on me. I don't know my account number. Can I get it to you tomorrow? Okay, yeah, no problem. Using this application ID, you can use this resume application button up here in the upper right-hand corner to get back to that. But the meat and potatoes here, ask for your client information. Like you said, the quoter and the application, everything's all built into one platform. The only thing that you absolutely need, the only things that you absolutely need to run a quote are these with the red asterisk next to them: the state, the date of birth, and the male or female, right? So I'm in Idaho, where I'm also licensed, obviously. I'm going to put in my date of birth, and I'm going to put in male. Only those three things do I need to look at a quote, right? If I have the other information, I enter it now because I won't have to enter it again later. Okay.
Okay.
Proceed to quote. This is going to show me some knockouts for this product, right? So right now, and some of these things are actually being updated. So here very soon, there's going to be opportunities to write some different folks that you haven't had a chance to write in the past. Right now, it asks, is the applicant a U.S. citizen or permanent resident? Meaning, do they have a social security number, right? Yes. Actively employed or a homemaker? Yeah, right. Not replacing existing life insurance because this is an instant issue product. Technically, it is not designed for replacement of existing coverage. There's no mechanism, there's no time for this carrier, SPLI, to notify another carrier of replacement because, again, it's an instant issue product. Okay. Applicant between 18 and 60 years old, age nearest. So it's current age 18. So it can't be almost 18, right? They have to be 18, all the way up to 60 and a half years old because age nearest. For those who are new to life insurance products, many products, the majority of products out there are based on age nearest pricing. So my date of birth is April 16th. So obviously we just passed that. So I turned 41. So I will be considered 41 in the eyes of the insurance companies for approximately another 5 months, right? 4.5 months. 4.5 months from now, I will get closer to age 42. And so my product would be priced at age nearest 42, let's say in November of next year, right? Even though I'm not yet 42. So this product goes all the way up to 60 and a half years old. Say qualifies. Here's some other knockouts. We talked about diabetes, right? If you require insulin, you're not a good fit. You're younger than 40, you're not a good fit. Or if your A1C is over 7.0, not a good fit, right? And then there's other things here as well that it goes over.
One of the things here are that we come across, we're meeting with a Medicare client. Of course, they're over 60, many of them. Of course, there's exceptions, but if they're on Medicare, there's probably, and they're young, there was probably some type of disability or something else going on. So, but many times is their spouses, that are somebody that can fit into this, or flat out, you start seeing their children, their grandkids, there's many situations where this product can come into effect. And then once you think a little bit outside the Medicare box and you're just meeting with people, there's so many people that are under from 18 to 60 year old that wish they had life insurance in their hands, but a lot of times they just don't want to go through the hustle. And this takes away a lot of that hustle, takes a lot of that having to answer or even deal with paperwork or deal with that. You go to this website, you don't have to have it in a special computer. Any computer, you can access your link, which is beautiful, and then go through this with the client in person or through a virtual visit like this.
My first 2 Quility level term policies I ever sold, I used my mobile phone.
Yeah.
So I sold 2 of them literally while sitting on the sidelines of a soccer game at one of our local parks here in Boise. I went down with a buddy of mine. He said, "Hey, my kid's playing soccer this weekend. You want to get together, hang out? We can do so while my boy's playing soccer." I was like, "Sure." He knows I like soccer. I wanted to get caught up with him. I went down, hung out with him. He introduced me to a couple other parents and friends of his. And literally while we were sitting there talking, the usual conversation. "Oh, what do you do for work?" So I told them what I do for work, and they said, "Oh my goodness, we're literally working on trying to get some life insurance for us right now." The husband had said something about not wanting to do an exam. I don't want to have to pee in a cup. I don't want to have to get my blood drawn. And they said, "Oh, you don't have to these days, depending on how much coverage you want, whatever." So we got talking, and I pulled out my phone and pulled up my link and literally quoted them on the spot, asked them their height and weight, asked them some basic questions about tobacco use and whatnot. And I said, "Yeah, if you guys want, we could probably go through the application, each one of you here about 10 minutes and see if you get approved. If you don't get approved, no sweat. If you get approved, great. You don't have to take it if you don't want to." Literally by halftime, we'd written each of them a policy. So on my mobile phone. So yeah,
one of the things I like is that you can basically almost go through the underwriting process without even having or asking them for bank account or banking information, and that puts them at ease, knowing that, hey, you're not, you're not. I'm not gonna just click a thing and start charging you without you knowing you can get the underwriting decision before you ask for banking information. That's beautiful.
Yes. And that's the good thing about the start of the quoter here. If I roll back just really quickly to this front page, to your point, the only thing you need, state, date of birth, and male or female. Nothing more is required for a quote. Nothing more is required to start the application process. It's not until you get to the underwriting consent where you have to enter a social security number and allow the carrier to do the background reporting, the background reports. Again, underwriting is done in about 90 seconds or less. And then on the offer screen, it'll let you know if there's been an approval, and if so, at what rate class. And then you can mess around with the coverage right then and there. And I'll show you here again, if we go back to the quote page. This quote page, Emmanuel, you know this. When you get to the offer screen, it looks exactly like this screen, except for that one of these rate classes is going to be grayed out. It's going to be locked in. Mm-hmm. I recommend, like you do, and I'm glad you've discovered this, if you move forward at the quote screen with a select class or the standard class, but a select class is what I recommend most agents start here, regardless of where you think. If you think the client's super healthy and they're fit and trim and they're going to be an elite all the way, no problem. Start here at select, because it's going to give them a rate of $84 a month instead of $49 a month or $50 a month, right? It's going to start here, and it's going to give you that opportunity to keep that premium dollar on the table, because when you get through, and if they're quoted select and they get that preferred or elite class, it's going to say, hey, for that same 8483, instead of buying $250,000 on a 30-year term, do you want to buy $350,000 or $400,000 on a 30-year term? And the client might say yes, because maybe this is in their premium budget, right? If they say no, no problem, right? You just move this back to $250,000 and you lock in the savings that they earn by getting that cheaper rate, that preferred or that elite rate. Right?
J.R., here on the questions, thank you, Otto, for asking a question, saying this is similar to Ethos.
Similar, but this one is guaranteed to not have an exam. Ethos, they've got a great platform backed by some good products, but they tout non-med, right? No medical exam. But if your client doesn't meet the requirements for the non-medical exam option, then they will take you down a traditional path where an exam may be needed, and medical records, or the APS we mentioned earlier, attending physician statement, where those need to be ordered, and then the case does slow down considerably. And sometimes you lose a client's attention and you lose that sale because of that slowdown or because of that requirement. We'll never require that. So you get a yes or no, and if you get a yes, you'll end up in one of these 5 rate classes, and you'll have the opportunity to make the sale right then and there. So great question, Otto. Good carrier or good company, good products. Ours has the advantage of that instant decision and instant issue.
Thank you. So here on the quotes, you have the ability to just move the line all the way to $1 million for certain clients. Now, what else is something that you guys have that is different, or that is I'm seeing it right here, the accidental debt riders and all of that can be added right there.
So this product, not only were we trying to meet the requirements of agents and clients to have an easy process for purchasing life insurance, we wanted it also to have some quality built into it, right? So one, we're with SBLI, carrier that's been around since 1907, A-rated mutual carrier, right? This product does come with some additional benefits that you can add on, and some that come with it, included, right, in the price. But the accidental death benefit rider, yep, you can add accidental death to the product. It's a cheap and easy way to add additional death benefit. And if somebody if somebody does pass from an accident, then this additional death benefit will pay out to their beneficiaries tax-free. Remember, that's one of the things that we haven't talked about yet, but life insurance is a tax-free death benefit to the insureds. As long as the insureds are family members, as long as the insureds have that insurable interest, so like, my spouse has an insurable interest in me, right? My children benefit from me being here. And if I were to pass, there's an insurable interest for them, for example, right? But if I were to name my best friend on my life insurance policy, there's not necessarily insurable interest most likely there. And so we have to remember that, to make sure that you're naming people who usually are immediate family members, who have insurable interest in that person, but you get a tax-free death benefit. So this is an easy way to add. Now the coverage instead of $1 million is 1.25 million, right? In the case of an accident, and it's really, really inexpensive to add that accidental death benefit. If you end up doing something, even the minimum face is 100,000. By the way, we haven't talked about the minimum face on this product. 100,000, then you can do half of that in an accidental death benefit rider, right? The accidental death benefit rider caps at $250,000 or 50% of the death benefit, whichever is the least, I think. So.
Right here, JR, they're asking if it always ROP or can it be without the ROP? Can you tell us a little bit of the difference on the ROP and the non-ROP?
Sure.
And return of premium. ROP means return of premium.
Yeah, one of those acronyms. ROP,
yes.
Return of premium. Which is not a feature that is as common as it once was. But the idea of return of premium life insurance is, hey, if I pay for this policy for 20 years, am I just out that money? And if you buy a regular term product, the answer is yes, but that term product is much, much cheaper. So it's similar to car insurance, right? You have car insurance all this time. And if you don't end up in an accident for any reason, you don't have to file a claim, then okay, you just had coverage that entire time, right? On your auto insurance. Kind of similar with regular term. If you do a return of premium term, then you can actually get some of that money back or all of that money back. With our product, if you get to the end of the 20 years or 30 years, which are the two products that have ROP available, a 10 and 15 year, no ROP is available, right? So you have to do a 20 or 30 year. Then that return of premium will say, hey, if you get to the end of 20 years, you can have 100% of your premiums returned to you. No questions asked. It's not with interest or anything like that, but you have the option of either 100% of your return of premium, or you can do a paid up whole life policy. Okay. And that's a unique feature too. So you get to the end of the 20 years and you can go to the carrier SBLI and say, hey, I've been paying the $74 a month for 20 years. They'll say, okay, you can have your $74 a month back from the last 20 years, or instead of $100,000, 20-year term, maybe you can take a whole life policy for $50,000 or something like that, and it's paid up, and you'll never have to pay another dime on it, right? Or maybe it's $35,000 or whatever it is, but it's going to be enough to, in this instance, it would be enough to cover final expenses. Yes. So when you pass away,
that's a great option, and I'm glad you're here, and that's one of the reasons that we like to have the wholesaler talk to us, because I was only thinking you get your money back and that's it, but that's good that you have extra advantages. Right here on the question from Serafin, he's saying, will the premium be lower for the term than the return of premium? And yes, Serafin, when you buy the term, it's like buying the coverage only. When you buy the return of premium policy, you're paying so you have the right to get your money back. So you're paying a little bit more. But a lot of times when you have that client thinking about life insurance, they might have in the back of their mind, what if I don't die? What if I don't use it? And this could be a good rebuttal for it, and say, well, let's get you a return of premium policy. And it works almost as if you were putting the money away on a savings. So you're just every time you make that payment, that if you eat your fruits and vegetables and you're still around 20, 30 years from now, you got to get that money back. And that's a good thing. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And return of premium usually is somewhere in that 2.5 to 3x the premium of the regular level term product. Right. Okay. So, but yes, you do end up with that, hey, those clients who do ask that question, I'm going to give you this money, and what happens if I don't die? Right. I get nothing. Okay. Well, if your concern is that, then okay, let's get you the ROP option, and you'll get your money back. Just stick around. People ask oftentimes, well, how soon can I start getting some of my premiums returned? Depending on the product and the age, depending on the age of the client, it'll typically be somewhere around between years 4 and 7. Whenever we issue a return of premium policy, there's a schedule that comes inside of the policy packet that shows you exactly how much premium you could be returned. Let's say you bought a 20-year term and you only kept it for 10 years, and you went back to SBLI and you said, I would like to give you this policy back, because it is a piece of property. You give that policy back, and they say, okay, since you had it for 10 years, you can have
X number of dollars back, and it'll be some percentage, right? 10 years in, you might only get somewhere around, I don't know, 30% of your premiums back, right? But if you wait around for the 20 years, it's in the budget, wait around for 20 years, you can get 100% of your premiums back, or that paid up policy that we talked about. So there is a schedule built into every ROP policy packet. So
the charitable giving rider, does that, it says that it doesn't cost any money. How does that work?
Yeah, so these two riders down here, the charitable giving rider and the accelerated death benefit riders, these are riders that come with the product. They're inherent to the product. No additional cost. It says right over here, no additional cost, right? The charitable giving rider provides an additional death benefit above and beyond what you purchase, 0.5% above and beyond what you purchase, to a charity of your choice. As long as they're on the docket with the IRS as a nonprofit 501c3, you can search for them here and add that 501c3 to your charitable giving rider. And you'll see here, because I'm looking at $100,000 death benefit, it's saying, okay, well, we're going to pay, SBLI will pay an additional $500 death benefit, which is equal to 0.5% of your face amount. And that $500 death benefit will go, in this case, to Make-A-Wish Foundation of America. Quility works with Make-A-Wish on a number of different projects every year. And so we made them our default, but you can search in here for different nonprofits, no problem. If I change this to 500,000, you'll see that additional death benefit jumps up to $2,500, right? You do not have to pay for this.
For an organization.
Yeah, you do not have to pay for this. I get that question all the time. It does not come out of this $500,000. It's above and beyond. So the policy is actually worth, in this case, $502,500 of death benefit, right? $500,000 goes to your family, to your beneficiary or beneficiaries. The $250 or $2,500 goes to your nonprofit of choice.
That's amazing. Again, we work with many carriers, and that's something that is innovative from you guys. I don't really have it with other carriers, especially that it doesn't cost anything to have, and it can be a great thing, especially if you love pets, if you love any type of voluntary service. You can this life insurance policy that you have, of course, is for your family, but it can also benefit some of the things that you care about.
I'll mention quickly, this child rider is a unique one as well. It is, as far as I know, and I've looked high and low, it is the only guaranteed issue child rider on the market. That means that there are no medical questions and no background underwriting for the children who are covered by this child rider. Children have to be younger than 17 years old, older than 30 days. So they have to be at least a month old and younger than 17 to qualify for coverage. But you can add for $5 or $10 a month, roughly, $5,000 or $10,000 of coverage to your children, life insurance coverage. This does not change. This price does not change regardless of whether you have one child or you have 10 children. Okay.
Wow.
It can be a really inexpensive way to cover all of the kiddos. And if there is a death claim for one of the children during, let's say a family of 5, they tragically lose a child while they're covered, then the coverage continues on for the 4 living children, by the way, right? Mom and dad both can buy coverage for a cap of $20,000 of child rider coverage. So this is a fantastic option for those clients who have special needs children, right? Children who are born with a heart condition that is going to render them uninsurable probably for the rest of their life, even if it was surgically corrected at the time of birth, right? Autistic, highly autistic folks, Down syndrome. If you have a child like that, you can't get them covered with a Gerber, United of Omaha, a Foresters, Children's Whole Life Policy, State Farm, right? Like you have to get them covered somewhere, somehow. Traditional child riders aren't going to work because there's still some basic questions to answer and underwriting. This has none. Okay.
That is amazing. That's a detail I didn't catch before from reading the material. So that's why you're here. That's why we come to this type of iPros TVs,
And it'll cover the children up through age 24, and it's also convertible at that time. So as long as the children, again, are under 17 years old at the time that the policy is issued on the parent, then they are covered, and they're covered for as long as the parent has the policy up to age 24. At that time, they can convert the policy to a whole life policy with SBLI without having to go through underwriting, right? And so whether they have 5, 10, 15, or 20,000 through the parents, they can convert those child riders into some whole life policies straight over. So if it's $10,000 now on the child rider, it'll be $10,000 on the whole life, and it's very affordable, very easy, no underwriting. Okay.
Excellent, excellent. So one of the things that I enjoy about the Quility product is this that you're doing right now and kind of showing us is the application. It's like what we're used to when we're shopping, when we're using Amazon, when we're using it. It is a yes or no. Is the boxes are big, the question's nice and clear. You know, a lot of times you go through some other files where there's so many things kind of clutter, and this is very clean that allow us to go through the questions with the client, like you said, right there on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop. It makes it really nice to do.
And you can see the questions are very easy, right? So, and I'm just kind of cruising through them because I know we only have about 5 minutes left. So I'm just letting people hopefully read on their screen if they're looking right now, but there's simple stuff, right? Like, are you a U.S. citizen? This one here, have you had any weight changes in excess of 10 pounds in the last year? Yes or no? If you answer no, you cruise on forward, right? If I go back to the answer and answer yes, it will ask pounds gained. If you've gained weight, it says if no weight gained, you can leave this field blank, right? So that's a common question on life insurance applications. So I put 20 pounds on there. I gained 20 pounds last year. Okay, no problem, right? Move forward. If you lost weight or if there was no weight loss, you can leave this blank. No, right? So it's easy peasy. Reason for weight loss or gain or loss, diet or exercise, whatever, you can put whatever you need in here. Know that if you do say weight loss surgery or illness, then because they're typically those types of things need medical records for review, and this is an instant issue product. If the answer is illness or weight loss surgery, then the client unfortunately won't be able to be approved on Quility level term on the instant issue product, right? So that being said, we want to make sure that we're answering these questions properly. So if your client tells you, oh yeah, I had a weight loss surgery performed, where they stitch up the stomach and make it a little bit smaller, right? Gastric bypass, something like that. Then you'll want to put that there and move forward and answer truthfully. You definitely don't want to risk your license or anything like that for a simple question on an application, right? So last time you used tobacco products, nicotine-containing products, or e-cigarette. So this includes vaping, right? E-cigarettes, make sure that you're talking about that. A lot of people still to this day kind of consider vaping like, oh, I'm not smoking, I'm just vaping. That's nicotine products, right? So we have to answer appropriately here. Last 5 years, you applied for or received disability benefits, not including short-term disability for childbirth. Here's the family question, the family health question, family history question, excuse me. Has a licensed medical professional diagnosed a parent or sibling with cerebrovascular disease, cardiovascular disease, or coronary artery disease, or stroke or cancer before the age of 60? Okay. Cancer, other than basal cell carcinoma or squamous cell carcinoma of the skin. Surgery in the last 2 years. I'm lucky enough to say no. And then here's those knockouts that we reviewed in the beginning. Last 5 years, has a licensed medical professional diagnosed you with or provided you care or treated you for any of the following diseases or disorders? And you go through these. For example, diabetes was asked about. If we ask diabetes, it opens up some reflexive questions. Treated with insulin,
like,
yes or no?
When the detective asks you questions a little bit in a different way just to make sure that you answer them, but it's quick and easy. It's just right there telling you the answers.
Yeah. Right. HIV or AIDS, hospitalized in the last year for any reason other than childbirth, avocations like scuba diving, rock climbing, piloting an aircraft, last 7 years, drug use question right here, right? Have you been referred to drug or alcohol counseling? Alcoholic drinks do you consume per week? Put maybe a couple in there. In the last year, have you used marijuana in any form? Yes or no? That'll include edibles, right? I can say no. If you answer yes to this, that's okay. there's just different thresholds. So if you've used it very infrequently, a couple times a year, you can still get non-tobacco rates, no problem. If you answer yes, and maybe it's 3 times a week, you might end up with a tobacco rating, just so you know. Okay.
Okay.
Last 10 years, felony or arrested or on parole, no. DUI or DWI, license suspended or revoked in the last 5 years, no. How many speeding violations have you had? Let's say we've had 1 in the last 3 years. And now we're done with the questions.
Excellent.
Quick.
One of the, and then you add the vital information, which one of the things that I like, there's no driver's license number that you guys ask for. Yep. So that a lot of times makes it easy, just because the client may not have everything in right away. They have access to that information. So that's pretty neat. And the other thing that I enjoy is, that you mentioned it already, once you get to the signature process, it can be done through an email or a text. And it can be compared to DocuSigns, but I do feel that it's much cleaner than even DocuSigns. This is just a huge, proof, that the client, sometimes we deal with clients that they love technology, but sometimes you have to still guide them through it and go through that. Once the application gets processed and it tells you almost a congratulations, you got this rate, then we get the banking information. With the banking information, I really enjoyed that you guys can take a debit card or a credit card as a way of payment. That's something that sounds like everybody should be doing that, but not everybody's doing that. Which we really appreciate, because the clients, the ease of business, they can go to their wallet and have their card there. Obviously, we want the bank account if at all possible, because that doesn't really change. But a lot of times it's just getting that speed of the client saying, yeah, there's my number, and getting that first payment. Obviously, once their card changes, then they'll have to notify the insurance company to change their banking.
Correct.
Once the process is done, tell me about the policy delivery process.
Yeah, certainly. So once the client's provided that bank information or that Visa or MasterCard, debit or credit card information for payment, which, like you said, is very unique, actually. Not many carriers will allow for Visa or MasterCard or any sort of credit card or debit card, especially on an ongoing basis, maybe on the initial premium, but not on ongoing. So this is unique in that solution set. The policy is emailed within minutes to the client. There will be an email provided to them using the email address that they've given during the application process. It'll direct them to my.sbli.com, so my.sbli.com. You can type it into your browser right now. You can see what the client's going to see. It's the customer portal, and they can go there, they register, and then they have access to that product, or to that policy, that policy packet. So this is completely a digital platform, right? From front to back. So e-policy delivery is a part of the process. From there, they can save it down. They can put it in some sort of, if they're organized and they're using some sort of online digital platform for maintaining all of their documents and all of their policies and whatnot, they can do that, or they can print it out, have a hard copy, and keep it in the house, keep it in a lock safe, take it down to the bank, give it to their spouse, their beneficiary, whatever they want to do. Agents have access to that same policy packet after a policy is successfully written and put in force using the agent portal, which is sbliagent.com. So,
that's simple.
And they'll get access. They'll get access to that. Agents get access to that after they're appointed with SBLI. SBLI will send 2 emails. One will say, hey, here's your username for sbliagent.com. The second one will say, hey, here's your temporary password. Right? That temporary password gets them into sbliagent.com. Once the agent gets into that agent portal, there's only 2 things there that they're ever going to be concerned about if they're being set up for Quility level term sales, and that is policy packets and commission statements. That's it. Nothing else on that SBLI agent portal is going to be of interest to them, because the rest of it applies to SBLI shelf products, which we're not marketing, right? So, and then the third email, as the contracting happens, the third email is that one that gives you the link that is unique to you, right? So Emmanuel, you have your own link. I have my own link, right? Juan would get his own link if he would get appointed for sales, right? Otto would get his own link if he gets appointed for sales. So, so that third email is what agents are really waiting on when they're getting appointed. but all three of them are important.
No,
Yeah.
it's really easy to do business with Quility, and SBLI. The link is wonderful. The other thing that we really enjoy is that you could say to the client, "Hey, congratulations, you're covered," and that is very, very important. And then many of the times I found it, through real life experience, that whatever price they were quoted, or if they were even waiting for other companies to give them, we can match it or even improve it and with speed. So that's amazing. The other thing is, for us that are listening, people that are watching this on recording, is how do we get going with SBLI, with Quility? The process is very simple. You have to email to Natalie at iPros. You email to her, or you can even call the number at iPros and ask them, "Hey, what's the email I need to request my contracting packet?" Once you get that contracting email, then you gotta go through, we use what is called SureLC. And SureLC is a platform that you do one contract. Basically, you fill out all your basic information, your E&O, your AML. Your E&O is your errors and omissions. Your AML is your anti-money laundering training that you have to do on the life insurance side. And then you add a request to add to your carriers, to your companies you're contracted with, the SBLI Quility request. And after that, they go to work. And a couple days later, sometimes pretty fast, you'll gotta get your 3 emails, just like JR mentioned, to welcome you to the dashboard, and then to give you your Quility unique link that now you can use at any website, anything that has access to the internet. You can now start quoting people and actually making sales.
Yep, exactly. And I will mention that anti-money laundering training is free and easy, and it's available in your guys' SureLC, which stands for licensing and contracting. So that one, SBLI approved that training. I actually re-upped mine this spring, and it took me all of about 10, 12 minutes to do the AML training, free and easy inside of SureLC. So recommend that one.
Excellent. And then the commission question, that some of you may have, is that the carrier is paying the commissions directly to you. So you'll be getting your deposit, and it will mention, that is coming from the Quility SBLI processing center, and you have it right there into your bank account. And then you can always go and review your commission statements at the SBLI agent website. The other things that some of you may have is that this product, you can do it in California, of course, but there's other states that you can do it as well. So if you're doing some remote sales away from California, they are approved in many, many states. So just ask, if you're wondering about a particular state, and probably the answer will be more likely yes, that they do right in those. Does Alaska count?
There's only 2 states that they don't ride in: Montana and New York.
There you go. So
all states plus DC. So other than those 2.
All right. So if you had questions, I know a lot of the sales sometimes, especially with seniors, you're doing California, but you may have people that move to Arizona, that move, to Oregon, trying to get away from the heat and so forth. So you have that ability. The other thing is that once we have any updates, that's what JR is for, to give us anything that might change, because they are constantly improving their product, and that's only good. If you were doing life insurance before and you use a carrier and you got stuck, and you got a sour taste in your mouth because that process didn't go so well, give the opportunity to Quility SBLI, and you will be pleasantly surprised of how easy they make the business of life insurance sales, and especially on this platform that they have. And if it happens that the client does not fit into this Quility, then we have other carriers that are doing a good job in getting people approved fast. But I'm telling you, and I will say it in front of other carriers, nobody's as fast as the Quility SBLI process.
Really quickly, I know we're over time, but I'll mention visa holders. We've had that question for a long time since we released this product a couple of years ago. Visa holders, work visa holders, can now be eligible for Quility level term. No student visas or other types of visas, but work visas, as long as the proposed insured has lived in the US for 2 years or more. They intend to remain in the US permanently, and they have established health care in the US. Because you remember we were talking about the underwriting requirements for this product. So there has to be some information that can be provided to the carrier in that instant issue process for prescription history and the MIB, that Medical Information Bureau report, as well as the exam 1 information potentially. So there has to be some information in the background for us to be able to underwrite somebody. But work visas are okay now. Student visas, no. Any other type of visa, no. Have to have been here for at least 2 years. Have to remain, planning to remain in the U.S. and have that established healthcare in the U.S. Okay, if they don't have those things, then unfortunately this would not be a product for them.
Thank you. And I know that all of that is, part of how we keep asking questions, and then eventually everybody will be a little more accommodating, because there's a whole market out there of clients that will fit the category. They're here. J.R., I really appreciate you being on this iPros TV. The opportunity to have the wholesalers tell us about their product. It's incredible, and that's one of the things that we want to do. Hopefully, you guys took at least 1 or 2, nuggets from today's conversation here. And if you have any questions, you guys can always email us with any particular questions for us. And we're really appreciative of you guys taking some time of your day to be here. This is gonna be on recording as well, and we are always looking to give you that knowledge so you go out there and protect families, but also get yourself, that income that you're looking for. Appreciate it, J.R.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. If you ever need me to come back, I'll come back anytime. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.